back to Secondhand Sellers, where we talk all things thrift, resale, and secondhand. I'm Sarah.
I'm Klayton.
Thanks for joining us again this week.
And this week we have our guest, Joe.
Joe, this is my husband, Joe. I probably have talked about him at some point on here.
I think a couple times.
Yeah. Talk about Hannah more, but that makes sense because she's part of the business. But anyway, we thought it would be interesting, and we probably will have, or hopefully we'll have Amelia on, his wife, on here sometime to tell us, on what it's like to thrift with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it'd be fun to share our spouses' perspectives. They don't have a lot of direct involvement with our businesses, but they do have some. Sometimes they'll go thrifting and reselling with, or thrifting with us and stuff. So Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Joe, what's the worst part about going reselling? Going to thrifting?
We were talking about that a second ago.
Yeah.
I always said it's when she buys stuff and just for her and not to sell. Yeah.
Rude.
But
Rude.
no, yeah. That's usually pretty good. The only thing is I do not have the stamina for it. She does. So
Hannah said the same thing actually.
Yeah.
But I said sometimes you may remember if you saw the video with Hannah. I said sometimes I am kind of tired of it, but like I feel like I need to check the shelves anyway. And he said he does the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess it does depend on whether or not like you're striking gold. You know?
Yeah.
That
We've
does,
been to
like,
some
give you more
estate
energy.
sales, I think, that were really. You've been to a few of them with me that were really nice and lots of art
one
and
where
stuff.
we got that pot, the Chinese pot.
That was the same one where we got the Bartholomew sheep, and where we got a painting there. We got the avant-garde magazines at that one.
Yeah.
We bought a lot of stuff for personal and some stuff for our
That one was, I mean, we were there a lot, and I didn't get super tired of it, but that's because we were finding cool stuff.
This house, they were very interested in art, so there was like actual paintings and interesting housewares and throughout the entire house, and it was a big house.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was probably several thousand square feet house, probably. Yeah, that was a good estate sale too. But so it depends. Some estate sales, I think, I can dig around in we've talked about like bottom feeding, and I think those ones he would be burned out early. Because some of them really, it just looks like a pile of junk. I'm sure you've seen those. And it's
Been to some garage sales
yikes.
where it's just like, I'm touching this stuff. I can't believe I am, but you know.
And somewhere in there you find something good, but on the surface it's like not necessarily a pleasant experience.
We always get in the car, and then she's like, here you go.
Hand sanitizer all around.
Which those are some other tools of resale. Keep some stuff in your car.
Hand sanitizer.
I keep bags in my car to put stuff in just because
well, you don't want to
sometimes
feel too rude to the people you're buying from them. So it's like,
sometimes though.
you go there and you're like, all right, they're not looking.
You can tell with this estate sale companies, like, they know.
Oh yeah. No. I'm talking about like when you go like
a garage sale's a different thing, but and sometimes they know because like we all have stuff we store in our basement or garage and it's gross. But sometimes you go into a whole estate sale like that where the entire house is like not very clean. So what is it like to thrift with me or with me and Hannah? Like, do you have a different? Sometimes the three of us will go.
Yeah, it's pretty, like I said, at first it's kind of fun because you're like, oh, maybe there's a little opportunity to find some interesting things. I'm usually pretty cool at first, and then we go through it, and then it's like usually overwhelming, and you know, because you're like, wow, sometimes people just have so much junk.
Some of it's crazy,
you know. So you'll go to these houses and you'll see all this cool stuff too. Like a lot of stuff's cool, and sometimes you're bombarded with a lot of cool stuff that you're not interested in too. So you're walking through almost like a museum, like, oh wow, look at that.
A personal collection museum.
Yeah. And then, but you're not gonna buy anything.
Right.
It's like, oh, it's nice to see. You know?
Hey, well, or sometimes you don't. Like Hannah and I went to estate. Unfortunately, you didn't get to go, and I wish you had been able to. But Hannah and I had gone to an estate sale. I went by myself, and then Hannah went back with me.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe she didn't get to go. No, she did get to go back with me.
Yeah.
I think I went back more than once. And the people had lived in Japan. And their whole house had so many Japanese items in it.
Yeah.
Some were really nice. Some were more common things. And it was just, afterwards, Hannah had remarked that she wished she had known the value of a couple of those things, because they looked basic, but they actually do carry some resale value. But sometimes you go to these houses and at least I think, and I don't know if you ever feel this way, but I wish I knew more about what I was looking at.
All the time.
Because I'm looking at stuff like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah. And when I'm at a garage sale or at an estate sale, I don't want to pull out my phone and be like, Google Lens, because you have the people standing like right there.
Yeah.
I sometimes like put my back up to a wall and I'm like...
but there are sometimes I'll do it because it's like, I have no idea what in the world this is, but it's unique enough. I have to find out.
But the whole house was like, I mean, there were so many things in it.
Yeah. You wanted me to go to because I'm more interested.
He took 2 years of Japanese
stuff
in college, and he's interested in anime and stuff. So I think you would have been interested in a lot of stuff, and you actually may have known more about what we were looking at than I would just from watching animes and stuff. Yeah, the context of things. Yeah. But that was one of those sales where it was a lot. And so there are sometimes sales where I wish you could go to them because I know there would be things that you would like, but for whatever reason you're not available or we can't make it back out there.
Well, we talked about that too, about if we go, you, me, and Hannah to different places, that like I'll be finding something in some spots that you just went right past, and then you pick up on stuff that I would never in a million years look at because I'm not at all interested in it or don't even know what it is. And then Hannah's got a third, slightly different. She's a lot like you, but she sometimes picks up on different things that you might.
She found that sheep, and I looked right away. I think that was that sale where when there's a sale that has a lot of things, I think sometimes that's beneficial to have two eyes, because even if you have similar taste, like Hannah and I do have similar taste. Yeah. A lot of times, in certain things, you just might overlook it in the overwhelm. And I'm sure garage selling is probably
all the time. Mel and I will be walking, and I'll be looking for stuff, and I've walked past stuff where afterwards she's like, "Hey, what about this? What about this? And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that." And sometimes it's worth the time to actually turn around and look at it.
Sometimes too, if you're looking for something specific, and then the other scope of other things don't quite, So like the one time when we were looking for kegerator stuff. For like,
for making our
tap
fizzy water on tap situation.
Yeah. But she was looking for other things, I think, and I just saw the whole setup with the refrigerator and all this stuff, and I'm like, how much is this? And he's like $50 or whatever.
It was at the very end of a sale. The house was cleaned out, just about.
So I was like, for everything? Because it had all the, like, the refrigerator and all the setup and like the hoses.
I think he asked for a little more, and then you asked for 50.
Oh, you're right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Because I went back out and I was like, he said he wanted like 75. I can't even remember how much.
I was like,
that's what take for 50, and I was like, okay. So
yeah, and we ended up selling the fridge part because we already had a kegerator fridge, it's a kegerator fridge or like an extra small drink fridge. We had already bought that at an auction place, and so we didn't need that. So we ended up selling the kegerator fridge without the other implements to somebody else, and so we got our parts for free. So that worked out good.
So when you do go thrifting, do you generally look for stuff for yourself, or are you also keeping in mind some things that Sarah can sell?
So depending on where it's at, first I look around, do a skim to see if there's anything I'm interested in. Yeah. But since that usually doesn't take very long, I'll go back around and I'll be like, okay, what do I think might have value? And then, are you willing to sell it? Because sometimes it might have some value, but she may not want to sell it, or it might not be enough value in order to do. So I sometimes look up stuff like, on eBay too, and just, hey, maybe you want to look at this. And sometimes she's like, yeah. Sometimes she's like, nah. Yeah. So stuff like that.
I'm trying to think of something that you picked up that we sold.
Like we were at Goodwill and that tank heater.
Oh yeah, it was an aquarium heater. We haven't sold it yet, but we just recently got it listed.
But I was like, it was in the box, almost brand new. Like we turned it on when we got home, before they listed it, to make sure it was still working. But it got up to heat real quick, so it kind of probably works. It was still in the box and everything looked pretty new. So I was like, even if it's only, a fraction of the new price, it probably would be worth it. And so she gave it a shot.
I'm trying to think. There have been times at estate sales and stuff too, I think, that you brought up stuff that I didn't notice.
Yeah, well, like those avant-gardes probably.
Oh, the avant-garde magazines. It was you.
Yeah. The first day.
We had gone. Was that the first day?
Yeah.
So the sale that we got the avant-garde magazines in, and several art things for our home, all these things, the Chinese pot, like a ginger jar that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the sale like 3 times. It was ridiculous. It was like a 4-day sale or a 3-day sale, and we went early on in the sale, and we picked up a few things that we thought were a good price, and then I went back as they got cheaper. Mm-hmm. And he found the first avant-garde magazine.
It
was the first one we found in a closet of. Mm-hmm. It was a bunch of books of landscaping books and art books and all that kind of stuff. And you pulled that out and we're like, I think this might be worth it.
Well, yeah, because I heard about zines were popular back in the day, so depending on
And it was a really niche topic.
Yeah, it's like avant-garde, obviously art. Mm. So it's a zine dedicated to that. It didn't have huge amount of issues, but I think they had some prominent artists in some of them. Like one of them was Andy Warhol, I think, and some other stuff. So, but yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, that one you picked up, and I don't know if I just didn't see it or if because again there was so many things in this home. So when you're in that environment, you're just scanning, you're looking, some things catch your eye and some things don't. So whatever happened, he got to it first, he saw it, grabbed it, and Hannah and I went back, and Hannah dug out another one. Yeah. I think that's how that worked.
I think you're right.
And we sold them as a set for a decent amount of money. I think we got one for $5 and one for $4 or something around there.
Like 80 or something like that.
We sold them for a decent amount.
I think it was 70 something.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that was an example of something that you picked up, and we're like, I think this might be.
Can you also find like a bag with some video games?
Oh yes.
I was gonna bring that up too.
Yeah.
Because we were just like going through this one house, and it was kind of a dud, but.
I think I picked it up, and I was like,
She picked it up
I picked it up out of the closet, and then I kind of handed it to him, and he like did the research on it.
Yeah. Well, I looked in there right away, and I saw
these?
like, oh, this is Super Mario Brothers, like it's basically like a reissue of the NES game on
Game Boy.
Game Boy, yeah. Game Boy Advance. I can't remember which one, but so I was like, yeah, they're right there. It's pretty good. And then There
was a Zelda in there.
Zelda was good. A big one.
Yeah, you did all the research on that while I browsed.
It was a weird one too. It was like I can't remember what Zelda. I had never heard of it before because I like Zelda to a degree, but I never played like the Game Boy games. Yeah. So I played like the 64 games and stuff like that. But.
Yeah, I think I dug it out of the closet and you looked at it, but I think you made the decision on whether or not it was worth it. Oh, and you also asked the lady for the price.
That's true, and I also had.
He was like, "Can I have this for like $10?"
Yeah, $10. She's like,
sure. It had 2 DSs in it.
Yeah, and then I was checking it out, and she's like, "Oh, were probably worth some money." And I was like, "We'll see."
So we found the Masonic book that I bought. We got at that estate sale.
She was like, "Hey, I don't care."
It was funny.
They just wanted everything gone.
She was an older lady. She's like, whatever.
Yeah, and that's kind of the benefit of going to those estate sales and garage sales where people are just like, get it gone, get whatever.
And it was towards the end of the sale again. I think maybe it was the last day. Yeah. And we walked out of there with like that bag of video game stuff, the Masonic book, and I think I bought a candle that I burned myself. And I think that's all we got. But they were really, it ended up being a good sale because the things we did get from that sale sold really well and for a high price. We walked out there spending like less than $20.
Yeah. You're basically playing the part of the redistributor.
Yeah, and I found it in a closet. It was just like...
nobody had looked in the closet. A lot of them were marked, do not mark, so we're like, this is stuff for sale too, right?
And it was in a Ziploc bag, like a gallon-size Ziploc, but...
You could tell it was like for when the grandkids come over.
Yeah, are there certain categories of things at estate sale and thrift that you're looking for? Because I feel like you said the aquarium heater, you sometimes look at things that I wouldn't look at or wouldn't know about, like maybe electronic equipment or tools or...
First thing I look for is like interesting stuff for me, like electronics, like, Amazon reseller stuff that maybe it came back and somehow got through the cycle. Like, you can find like
a bundle of HDMI cords.
Yeah, if you don't want to buy brand new HDMI cords and stuff like that. Like we went to the one sale where the guy had his own business and he had like a ton of HDMI cords and
I wish I had gotten to that sale earlier because I think
network
a lot of stuff left that house that was interesting.
But so that stuff is just like practical, like you can always use an extra HDMI cord or whatever. But and like the network.
And they're kind of expensive for what you get when you
That's
buy
the
them
thing,
new.
yeah. If you can get them for like a couple bucks for like a big pile of them. That's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I do that. And I got like one time I got a network switch at that same garage sale. It's like I want to, you know, if you want to do hard wiring, you know, to have a really fast internet download upload.
I don't know about that stuff, so he looks for that. Sometimes I go with things and like, I wish he was like here because I don't know anything about it.
So, but then and then games are a big thing too, because sometimes I just find a cool game that I might want to play or whatever, or you know, I can give it to you or you know whatever, or sell it on. We can sell it ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I have a couple like NES games, old school NES games that I don't play, so we've been selling those.
And those you didn't buy for selling, you've had them for a long time.
Yeah, someone gave them to me in a very great
years and years ago
charitable gift. I played a lot of them for a long time, and then some of them I just never played, so those are the ones I kind of sold. But yeah, and so that's what I look at that. Then I look for artistic kind of stuff sometimes. Like we got some art books. Like I like.
We're an artsy family. If you haven't gathered that.
I like impressionistic stuff. You know, some of the avant-garde stuff really does. I like too, like the print stuff, but like the minimalistic print stuff I like. And
I would say we're trying to build our own art collection. Like we want to decorate our house with.
Yeah.
Not everything we use is like bespoke art, but we were trending more towards original art or like high quality prints or interesting like pots and things like that, as opposed to this is like a store-bought little thing, and I think it's cute and that's why I got it, but we want less of that, so we are actually like actively collecting those kinds of things.
And of course, anything I say, I don't know anything about art, so I just
we lucked out at least once.
Yeah. But yeah, so then the art stuff, and then after that, if I'm looking around for like stuff that I think, okay, you've said you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or maybe I find something like I said that like new. If it looks new, it's deserving of a look if you can get it for a couple bucks, because even if it's like new and you can sell it for, you know, I don't know, 25% off the new price, that's still usually pretty good. So as long as it's got a good enough value.
Yeah.
So.
Are there areas of estate sales or thrift stores that you just don't even care about? You bypass?
Clothes.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you can make a lot of money on clothes.
We've talked about this.
I make a decent money.
You sell quite a lot of clothes, don't you?
Yeah, I sell probably 1 to 5 things every week.
Yeah.
Shirts, pants, whatever, and I care nothing about it.
Yeah, but
But I get it because people practically give it away at garage sales. And when I get it for so cheap, I don't care. It takes my time and I list it and I make money off of it.
Well, when I'm talking to, like, I don't like you have gone to some of those sales where you've gotten like antique clothing. And
I got a band tee that was really cool and it was in great shape.
That was really cool.
It was a cool graphic.
Yeah.
It ended up being like, I think it was a Detroit artist, but it sold. And I paid $1 or $2 for the shirt, and it sold for $30-ish. But the graphic itself was cool, and also it was in great shape. So I did pick up. I don't do a lot of clothing. I've talked about this before. Hannah and I sometimes will pick up vintage clothing, or like vintage nightgowns, that kind of thing.
But I feel like vintage is its own category.
It's its own thing.
It specializes.
So as far as modern clothes, I really don't prioritize modern clothes. Other than for myself. I will sometimes look definitely at the thrift store, occasionally at estate sales. I'll glance in the closet maybe for something for myself or something really unique. So like the one I got the band tee at, I also bought that concert poster at. The environment in that was, this is a music person, therefore these things were all over. But I am not apt to walk out of any estate sale or thrift store with a pile of clothes to sell, because neither Hannah nor I enjoy clothing, and I know she doesn't like photographing it, and so she doesn't want, so I would have to help set it up too, and it's like, well, yes, we have mannequins, and yes, we are going to do the vintage stuff occasionally. No, but
I do look for like interesting button-ups.
Button-ups. I will say, I got you a Hawaiian shirt at the thrift not long ago. But yeah, I'm usually, if I'm looking for clothes, I'm looking for myself. And at the estate sales, if I'm going to skip an area, it's probably going to be the closet. I do skip a lot of the closets.
Well, I do look in the closets, but not for clothes.
Yeah, you're looking there for other things.
See what hidden treasures are
Yeah,
inside.
you can find like, I don't know, but also like boots or things like that.
Yeah.
Like I might be interested in like a, nice leather boot that hasn't been worn a lot or something.
I feel like you might skip the kitchen more than I do. I feel like I scour the kitchens.
That's true.
And you scan the kitchens.
I scan the kitchens, but unless I see something really interesting like that copper ladle that we saw at that one. That we were getting, it's like a hammered.
You don't like dig through the cupboards though in the
Turkish or
kitchen
something
like I do.
Yeah. No, I don't.
I would say.
Maybe
Because
I'll
why
open up drawers
bother?
and cupboards.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't see something quickly, it's like, and also a lot of that minutia of like looking through it, it's like, takes forever.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite thing we've picked up for? Let's say for our personal items. What is your favorite thing that
you've picked up?
or that you have picked up? Either one,
You've
either
picked
together or
up
separately.
for our own use or just
For our own use.
Probably those the painting or the prints.
Yeah.
But also that I kind of like that jar too.
Oh, well, actually, I think I got that. You were the one most interested in that. I like it, but it's like an Asian, like I said, the ginger jar you was talking about.
The last day, and she was like, I was like, just make him an offer, and then you ended up getting it. But yeah, that was cool.
That was specifically something you were interested in.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to think of something that was just me. But yeah, I think that's probably the thing because I do like those paintings or those prints quite a bit. But you're the one that got them, not me. You came home and said, hey, do you think I should get these? And I was like, yes. So
that happens a lot because I can go when he's at work and stuff. So unfortunately, estate sales often start at Thursday and Friday, so it's really hard to get to them early in the sale if you are working a normal shift job. And I think it's definitely still worth estate sailing even if you can't get there the early days, because the deals are really to be had at the end of the sale.
Yeah,
you and I should go estate sailing together.
Yes,
sometime.
eventually. But like, I work 9 to 5, and I've been to some estate sales that they started on Thursday. I get there on a Saturday. I still walk out with a couple of big finds.
And that's when you're going to get your deals.
Yeah,
really deals.
I was going to say it's almost. If you can't go early on a regular basis, it's almost worth it just to come the last day always, because you don't have that tension of like, ooh, what if I have it and it's not there anymore when I get there on the last day.
And I think
you work with what you have, and don't feel pressured to feel like you have to be there on the first day of a sale or early, because it doesn't, like, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And even when you're there just at the last day of the sale, you're still getting stuff to resell.
I would say, I would even advise, if you can only go to one day of the sale, that early on the last day would be your best bet. Early to midday on the last day. Yeah. Because if you go early on the last day, everything that didn't make it through the more expensive days is still sitting there, and you can wheel and deal a little more. If you go late on the last day, you can sometimes pick up some cool stuff that other people have overlooked, but it's going to be way picked over by
you know that you're going to be there last day towards the end. Don't be afraid to like cut the price, because
that's when they're ready to wheel and deal. And like estate sale companies,
it's going to go to a like
a lot of them do. And estate sale companies, in my opinion, we've talked about this before, I do feel a little differently wheeling and dealing with them, because they are a company that is a representative of their owner and not the owner themselves. So you still need to treat them with respect. You still need to take their no for a no. But they're interested in selling the thing. Yep. And so if it's been sitting there for 3 or 4 days, they want it gone. They would rather that money in their pocket and in the owner's pocket than the item sitting there.
Well, in my experience too, that they're not afraid to counteroffer or just say if your offer's way too low, they're like, no, we're not taking that.
Yeah, they expect it. They expect some measure of that. Yeah. And some of them, I've even heard people say, "Oh, I'm a reseller," and they'll cut them deals for large quantities of things because, okay, cool, they can move a lot. Yeah. So, but I still that will just say the sales that I'm saying we've gone multiple days. These were things I went on estatesales.net, great site, and I could tell from the photos, wow, this sale has a lot of cool stuff. Usually this is where we've talked about all these art pieces and like just really interesting sales for our personal taste, my taste and his taste, my sister's taste, which in some regards are similar, many regards are similar. And your taste in the estate sale might be different than mine, but there are some sales, depending on what you're looking for yourself or your business, that maybe it does make sense to go multiple days if you can. And sometimes I go early the first day or second day just to see what the prices are like. I've only ever waited in line for a sale one time, and that's because I wanted to see if I could get or see what their price was and see if I could get the Zojirushi rice cooker. And that was a great sale, but that was the only time I've ever gotten a number and like waited before they open. And again, that was the sale I went to more than one day. But yeah, I think end of the thing is the best way. But I guess, can you think of anything we've picked up for the business that you thought was really cool?
For the business?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about those games.
Oh yeah, that was a good one, and I don't often talk about those, but
yeah, I'm interested in games, so I'm gonna think those are cool.
You also know more about them
yeah.
and what ones are desirable than I do.
But also, like the avant-garde, when you're like, I found that I went upstairs like to the third floor, nobody was looking.
It was like a weird closet too.
Yeah,
it
like
wasn't even a full height closet.
And it, you know, like how the gable roof goes down like that, so like, you know, there's like a little cubby where there's like
where they just turned it into a closet.
Yeah, and then there's books. There's a bookshelf there, and that's where I found all that. Those cool. So it's kind of neat to do that stuff. You find like a gold mine in a closet or something, you know.
I feel like sometimes we go into the States, we want to see the house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was one here in our town that we went into mostly because we passed by the house so many times, and we just wanted to know what the inside looked like. We were really curious about that.
Had
we
it gone
bought
up,
a couple things, but not major.
Had it gone up a little earlier, we may have bought it ourselves.
Yeah.
So
it had gone up crazy years
what
ago, but
your past could have been like.
Out of curiosity, if you had one piece of advice for somebody who was getting into thrifting, what would you tell them?
Like, don't be like intimidated by like those situations, like, because you're gonna go and you're not gonna be used to like haggling. You know, you're not gonna be used to like getting in there and digging in stuff, and like you might feel a little bit embarrassed, like, but don't because no one else does, and might as well get in there and find something for yourself.
Cool.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Did you have any other
that's
questions in closing?
good. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Thank you. Maybe we'll have you on sometime in the future.
Follow-up episode.
Yeah. See if we found anything more interesting.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode. Be sure to tune in next week. We'll have another one for you.
Yep. And like and subscribe, please. Have a great day.